same opportunities to go out and do things, especially out in their neighborhood. And the student also says that many students that they talked to felt that they would rather like miss the grade than like be disruptive or bring it up to their teacher, which I feel like is also an issue, that students aren't comfortable enough to talk to their teachers about that. It obviously can't be solved in, something quick, but just to make the administration aware, and hopefully it's something that you can share with other teachers to make sure to be inclusive of students who may not have the same resources and opportunities. Next, I wanted to bring up the topic of LSC promotion again. I know I've been bringing it up at like the past few meetings, but I'm really stressing that I don't know if there's any movement on it, and if there is, let me know, but that we create some form of like a LSC website or like a specific LSC page on the Jones site. I know we have one, but one that has, notes from meetings, the agendas, and then also like updates on LSC, things like the election, things like that. And then also like, a contact box, things like that. I think that we had the student forum yesterday, which I feel like went pretty well, especially for it to be its first one. I think we need to continue to have events like that, not just when there's an election or anything like that, but just doing everything that we can to make the LSC a familiar body in school. And I know I've said that a few times now. I'm gonna like kind of keep bringing it up because I do think is really important, and I do think it's something that's also like relatively easy to do, especially with the use of someone like a student rep like me and like whoever comes after me. Easy for us to be able to communicate with other students, the importance of the LSC, but we just need like the tools to be able to do it.
Thank you, Denai. You have been very good about bringing that up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry if you hear the rain against my window.
Oh no, we got it here too.
Yeah. And then lastly, I want to talk about ACLAB usage. I know that we recently turned C days into Eagle days, which I think is like really great. And we do have the ACLAB portion in the beginning of the Eagle days. And I know I talked with SGA a little bit in the beginning of the school year about what could possibly be done to make ACLAB a more uniform like activity. Like I know a lot of teachers do activities kind of how they want to do them and if they want to do them at all. And I know Trinity Lee at an LSC meeting talked about how even when we were supposed to be having conversations surrounding race, teachers were not all teachers were doing it or doing it correctly or doing it in a way that was appropriate for our age group. So I was wondering, what can admin do, or what has admin been doing to make concrete, uniform ACLAB activities to give to teachers, and ones that are easier for teachers to, hold in their ACLABs, right? Because, teachers aren't like trained professionals when it comes to these issues. So, we do need to have these planned things for them. But just to make sure that students are getting what admin intends for them to get from these like ACLAB lessons, to make sure that the conversations are productive. Thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize in my flipping around and trying to learn Zoom on the go. I did skip over Dr. Powers, and I am trying to figure out how to make all of this work. So Dr. Powers, I'm going to try and get you to unmute and ask you to give the principal report, if that works.
Very good. Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Quite a few things going on. I'll try to get through these fairly efficiently. First of all, with regard to our monthly reports that we put up every month, our attendance is year to date is 92.5%. That's about 2 percentage points lower than under normal circumstances. So it's not excellent, but it's also not bad, especially given the circumstances and what's happening across the district. With discipline, we have had no disciplinary actions that were necessary under Student Code of Conduct so far this school year. Our on-track rate, that means our on track to graduate based on credits earned, grades earned, and so forth, stands at 97.8% at the end of the first quarter, the 10th week. So that's actually quite good. We generally fluctuate between 97 something up to 99%. So our students are remaining on track to graduate. And when you have a high percentage like that, it's easier to work with individual students because you're dealing with relatively small numbers who are off track. Our enrollment as of the 10th day, the 10th week, I should say, our enrollment is at 1,962 students. That's about 3 students fewer than this time last year. So we're basically at a stable basis for our overall enrollment. We are working on our virtual open house. We've had a few issues getting this organized and some technical related issues, but we're trying to put this together so that it will be able to be rolled out and made available to anyone who wants to view it in the near future. So we're working on that diligently this week. As Dr. Plunkett mentioned, we did have calendar changes for the second quarter, and she described those very ably with the addition of the Eagle Days. For information purposes only, the CPS Board of Education next week on the 18th will be recognizing Jones and the other schools in CPS that received the National Blue Ribbon Award this year. And this is, as I mentioned before, this is the third time Jones has received this award since 2006. So it's a real feather in the cap to our faculty and staff, our students, and our wonderfully supportive parents. I could not be prouder of this school. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up on the 19th of this month. They are virtual, i.e. they're online, and information has been sent out about those, as well as additional links and so forth for the parents to schedule times with the teachers. Teachers will be available approximately 6 hours and 15 minutes during that day. Some teachers may have slightly different schedules than others, and parents just need to contact those teachers to make sure that there are times available. If all times are used up and the parents are still interested, email the teachers directly, and they can set up additional times either to talk on the phone, to exchange emails, or however they wish to handle those conferences. Lsc elections, of course, are coming up also on the 19th. These are being done by various means, both by balloting remotely and also by people can come in. I believe community members and parents can actually come into the school as well. It's not required, but it can be done as well. The Equity Initiatives website, the issues that people had asked about with regard to having this much more readily available on our website. We are in the process of doing that. We actually do have a link, a tab for information as to where we are with regard to our equity initiatives. And that is a work in progress. We will be modifying that as we go along, adding to it and bringing it up to date. And finally, planning for our seniors. This is one of those things where at this time we normally be very excited about planning all the great senior activities. Unfortunately, some of those might be rather different this year. We have set dates as if we were going to be back in school for the second semester. So that includes things like prom, it includes awards night, it includes graduation and so forth. However, we will have alternate dates. For example, if we cannot do graduation in person, we are looking at setting a date as an alternate to do a drive-through graduation as we did last spring. That's if we have to do it and cannot have a gathering at the auditorium theater. And then there are many other things as well. So we're hoping that by springtime, we can get into the senior season and actually have some of these celebrations in person, live. That would include getting our panoramic picture and things like that. So there are a lot of things going on. Right now, the seniors are finishing up getting their yearbook pictures, and hopefully most of them have done that already. If they haven't, we have a schedule for that, and they know where to sign up and how to sign up. For our undergraduates, we've already had some picture taking days, and we're going to be setting up a time a little bit later on, probably in February or March before the deadline for the yearbook, so we can have more students come in and get their pictures. It takes just a very few minutes for the undergraduates. Upcoming events are listed, and they're all on our calendar. The most important being in terms of the upcoming days are the changes with the Eagle Labs that we mentioned earlier. We've listed our parent-teacher conferences. We have a 3-day Thanksgiving holiday, the 25th through the 27th, where there is no school. And we have a National Honor Society induction on December the 9th. That will be remote, unfortunately. We'll be doing that virtually, but we want to make sure we move ahead and recognize our national merit students who are being recognized. And that concludes the report for this month. Oh, and let me mention also financial items. There were no actionable items because we had no check requisitions for either October or November of $10,000 or more. And the additional financial reports were sent to the LSC members earlier today.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Our next report is going to be from our, for the PPLC, and that's going to be Ellen and Kim. And if you bear with me, I'm going to try to did that work?
It worked. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
So first off, my internet went out earlier, so it's been odd. I was wondering, Dr. Plunkett, if you would be able to send those slides. Now that I am working as secretary, it would be really helpful to have those.
Make sure that those are sent around. I have it too, Ellen.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So for a PPLC report, the PPLC met with the whole staff on Monday, October 26th, and then we brought staff questions and concerns to the administrative team when we met on Monday, November 2nd. These included concerns about surveying students in the remote environment, the specifics of discussing hiring practices through the lens of racial equity, progress being made on other racial equity action items, the scheduling and implementation of Eagle Lab lessons, and ongoing plans to gather and synthesize concerns from staff and respond in a timely fashion. Since we've met, Dr. Powers has sent additional guidance about surveying students to the whole staff. So teachers brought concerns about what the specific goals are for the process of discussing hiring practices, in particular, whether the structure is in place for all voices to be heard, and then questions on the next steps once teachers provide their input. Dr. Fay summarized for us the replies he received from teachers in response to emails that he sent to the whole staff in October. And of the email responses that he received so far, patterns included wanting students to be involved in the hiring process. So for example, via sample lessons or students asking questions during interviewing. Teachers have also asked how the hiring practices discussion connects with building a more equitable and welcoming school culture and focusing on retention of teachers of color at Jones. The idea of retention conversations or stay conversations was briefly mentioned, but has not yet been planned. Some next steps in this process include informal Google Meet sessions with Dr. Fay, which he will put on the calendar by the end of this week, and at some point forming a committee to improve hiring and retention practices at Jones. And Dr. Powers reminded us at this meeting that hiring is not just an end of the year process. Schools, for example, often need to hire TATs for long-term leaves during the school year. And when we discussed progress on the racial equity proposals, the administrative team let us know that an equity page has been created on the Jones website, as Dr. Powers had mentioned. And this information was sent to parents on October 30th. The PPLC has put together an action item tracker of the various pieces of the equity plan that have been presented thus far this school year, and we're waiting for the administrative team to confirm the current status on these items.
My turn. At our meeting with admin on November 2nd, we also brought up the teachers' concerns that were shared with us about Eagle Lab, which were also brought up at the whole staff Q&A on Wednesday, November 4th. While teachers appreciated the responsiveness to the input collected via our survey after the last LSC meeting and changing C days to Eagle days, we did have some concerns about the intent of Eagle Lab lessons and also the preparation of those lessons. The administrative team shared with us that their thought is to alternate MICVA activities with other community builders and continue to provide different lesson options that teachers can select from to fit their needs of their Eagle Labs. This plan to continue to provide options was also in response to concerns about these lessons being grade level appropriate, which were brought up by students at the October meeting. Previously, the suggested options for Eagle Lab consisted of brief prompts provided by MICVA. We did state the preference of teachers for far more laid out lessons that teachers can opt into, such as like someone had a pre-made peer deck or Google slide deck that teachers can modify. This was also brought up in the admin Q&A session as well. We appreciate that the guidance provided for Eagle Lab on this for tomorrow is more detailed, and we hope to hear feedback from teachers on how this lesson goes tomorrow. There is some concern about equity of preparation time because not all teachers have Eagle Labs. And so now if there are more Eagle Labs, they are now planning more lessons and other teachers are not. Sorry, I lost my place. This concern was addressed by administration, notifying the teaching staff that they're expected to partner together to work on Eagle Lab. However, there are some still outstanding concerns by teachers about student trust as a new adult brought into a space that has already been established with norms and begun to work together on community building. As a PPLC, our next steps include discussing teacher questions with the administration team about the MTSS progress at Jones, including the status of the MTSS team meetings and school level tiers of intervention and a referral system. Just so everybody knows, the MTSS stands for multi-tiered system of supports and focus on students who are struggling and need additional level supports. So we plan on to discuss the communication plan around chronic absences and student non-engagement. We sent our list of questions of these topics to admin team on Thursday, and we'll discuss this at our December 1st meeting with them. Additionally, we will plan on surveying the staff in mid-November. So we will report that back next time. That's it.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you doing that. We do have one question. Is there currently an MTSS referral system in place regarding SEL and academic concerns? Is that something Kim or Ellen can address?
There is a Google form that we're supposed to fill out as teachers for students that are non-engaged, and we would let admin know. But beyond that, we are still looking for clarity ourselves on what that looks like. So there are different levels of support that students need, right? So right now we have something for students that are completely not engaged, but then we are looking for clarification, and that's what we want to talk to admin about.
Okay, great. And Therese, can you unmute?
Am I unmuted now? Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, just to kind of give just a quick like cursory response to that. Yes, there is MTSS in place. We were kind of revamping what we had because what we had was not really that fine-tuned. So we definitely have.
Guys,
Here we go.
Here we go again.
I'm going to end this because this is not acceptable at all. I'm going to end this meeting right now, and then we can get back on together.
Hello. This is Roberto. I don't know what happened.
Oh, Roberto,
I just dropped off.
You've only had audio on, but someone took over the screen and started sharing something inappropriate, so she ended the meeting and then restarted the meeting.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
The joys of Zoom calls.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
I would just say if anyone wants to reach out to me, I can help them lock all that down.
I think that would be
It
really
doesn't have to happen, so.
I think whoever's hosting just maybe we should do some security settings practice. So.
So this is Troy, and so they're logging on even though they're not being allowed in. So I'm not sure exactly how they're doing that. So we might need to eventually have to have people register.
I don't know if you're able to do so with the Open Meetings Act. I think unfortunately there's some, it needs to be open. That being said, Troy, I am definitely not a Zoom security expert, but I think Sarah has a lot of experience that she's willing to offer. So thank you. Sorry, I would also point out the student run forum yesterday did a very small Zoom and then was YouTube live streamed, and that might be an option that would help prevent this type of issue, like you said, Troy, about like having people register. Well, if it's like the LSC is on the Zoom and then it's live streamed, that would also satisfy the Open Meetings Act requirements.
I don't see Lainey back on here, so I don't know if they're just going to take a minute to get back on or what, but.
She just sent us an email saying she was going to call Dr. Powers and touch base too. So
Okay.
You're talking on the phone. With the live stream, Ellen, just wondering for the public participation part, like how would that work with Open Meetings Act? Like if it's, you know, would they have to do a form or register ahead of time to be let in?
So the school where I'm currently secretary for an LSC, what we do is we have the YouTube chat enabled. And so we have 2 people monitoring that chat. And then if we have like a guest speaker or something, we invite them for that portion of their talk. And then they can then do that meeting and then go to the live stream. So we absolutely want to not shut down participation. And I think there are creative ways to make sure that we're still encouraging people to attend and give it their students. It's the storm. So crazy.
So for right now, I'm just going through and I'm looking at some of the names. One, I know that there are some that are listed as iPhone. I'm not admitting that one, although I did see the video of the person. So, but there was 2 of them, so I don't know which one's which. Some of these other names I'm not familiar with.
I mean, Troy, you're the host right now. What you could do is make sure that no one else can share the screen, and then you make sure we're all muted, and then I think that you'll be okay. And also, you can also do your settings, make sure that they can't change their picture. There's another security setting so people don't put on the pictures, and then also they can't change their name. You can lock it out.
Sarah, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh.
Sorry, is that better? Yeah, I forget my microphone is crappy. I was just saying, you can lock down a bunch of things. One is you can make sure that you're the only person who can share the screen, that, you know, chat's disabled, that they can't change their picture, they can't change their name, and they can't unmute themselves. And then once you, I don't know if you can do that all within the meeting settings, you might have to go to your Zoom settings within your browser. And then also the co-host option, I think is a good option, is that you could actually make all of the LSC members co-hosts so that they can be, they can keep an eye on things. I think having Lainey having to admit, you know, be the chair and do unmuting is too much. So that's my opinion. This
sure,
is,
you know,
this is a,
yeah. I mean, we can talk a little bit later about like some of those settings, because I've tried some of those settings and it doesn't
still get in.
With
Okay.
Yeah, and even with the co-host, there's, I don't know if it's based on the account or what, but it's not allowing co-host. So
You have to, yeah, you have to go in your browser settings. There's a special co-host setting. I had to find it recently, so.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
we're getting, trying to get guidance on how we can whether we can end the meeting without a vote or whether we have to reconvene to have a vote of adjournment, or whether we are going to try to finish the additional items that are on the agenda. Right now, we're seeking guidance from the LSC office.
I couldn't do it.
Troy, can you let Lainey back in?
All right, sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Why don't we continue to move through and try and finish this in a timely manner? If that happens again, then I'm going to make a recommendation that we do immediate adjournment until we can get further clarification from the LSC Council on what we can do. But that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable behavior. And if it is anyone from Jones, I actually will work with administration to try to identify that and root that behavior out. I am not willing to subject myself, our students, our other parents, or our staff to that type of, I'm going to have to go with a malarkey or shenanigans on that, because that's about the nicest thing that is in my head right now. So,
Lainey, the only problem is we don't have quorum.
who do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
7.
Hold on 1 second. We're going to ask if Denia can join us again. And I don't know if anybody has contact information for Christian or for Sam that they could. I'll ask them to come.
Yeah, I'll text both those guys.
Okay, if you can ask them to please join back on. Thank you. As soon as we have a quorum, we can go ahead and restart. We did lose Therese, and Therese was actually responding, I believe, based on the last part of the chat that I saw, that the individual who had asked that question was happy with the response that they received from Ellen and Kim. And so I think that we can go ahead and move on. As soon as I have a quorum, I'm going to recommend that we move on to unfinished business. And Troy, if you're able to look out for Denia.
I'm here.
Hi there, how are you? Thank you for coming back on. And then we just need to wait for one more person for a quorum, I believe.
Who are we waiting for? There's some names on here that are not, I don't recognize. I mentioned earlier that there are 2 iPhone listed. I'm not letting them in. And some of these other names I'm not familiar with and I don't remember seeing on
Christian Kuhn and Sam Robinson it'll be their names pretty clear when they do come in. I just texted them. Chris will be joining in a minute.
Thank you. I've never been a chairperson of an LSC meeting before, and I've never had anything like that happen to me before. So it is 2020 is like in full effect, I think. Not quite sure what else to say about that.
Is a quorum 7 or 9?
7.
7.
So do we have 7 members right now?
That's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
one more.
I think we need one more.
Yeah.
And hopefully that is someone popping on right now.
Hey, Tim, would they be logging in from like River Forest UMC?
Yes, that's Christian's church.
And I have a Faith,
With letting a church
Faith
in.
B.
Faith Bugs, yes, she's a student.
Not a member though.
Not a member, but a student, and she should be allowed in for sure.
I think
Dora Bussey.
I'm sorry?
Dora Busey.
I am not.
She's a parent.
Okay,
She's a parent.
Okay.
great. Thank you. All right, sorry about that. We've definitely gotten off track and out of way. I'm going to try to do my best to continue to move forward with this and with a level of decorum. Kim and Ellen, I just want to make sure that you are good with the finalization of the, perfect. Thank you. Ellen, you okay? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, great. I would like to next move us on to unfinished business. We have two items there. One is closing out a vote on a community member from previous LSC. And I would like to ask Tim Peterson to please provide us with the motion that is needed on that and explain what has to happen.
Yeah, and after doing more research, I think it needs to be a more global roll call vote because we had additional members that were unanimously approved for membership, but we did not vote in roll call fashion. And those members are Mary Beth Lally, community rep, Dr. Sam Robinson, Dr. Veronica Robinson as parent reps. We voted on Christian Kuhn the last time. So once again, this was unanimous before. I know that in our last vote, Ellen and Kim, you guys, abstained because of the fact that you were not a part of the LSC at the time. So that's your prerogative for sure. So I will make a motion to approve the candidates mentioned, Sam Robinson, Veronica Robinson, Mary Beth Lally, as members of the LSC. That was done unanimously in previous meetings, but we need to take roll call vote now.
Sorry, Mr. Peterson, I'm really confused because to my understanding, Veronica Robinson and Mary Beth Lally stepped down from the LSC. So
yep, Ellen, let me address this. So with the open acts, we have various procedures that we have to, the Illinois Open Meeting Act that we have to do. At the time when we approved them, we did not conduct an audio yay or nay vote. This is a retro vote to yay or nay the vote that already happened. The fact that those some of these individuals are no longer on the LSC, we are actually going back and fixing an administrative vote. So if you don't want to participate, that is fine. For the individuals that did participate, we would ask that you please do that so that we can codify this. It is administrative. It does not actually impact who is or who is not on the board right now. Tim, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, if we are good, Tim made the motion. Is there somebody to second that? And then we will do a roll call vote.
Second, this is Joe.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Kim?
Yay.
Deny.
I'm sorry, Lainey,
Yeah.
what are we voting on? I just came in, so I kind of missed it. Sorry.
That's okay. This is an administrative yay or nay audio vote or roll call vote to codify the session where it was several meetings ago where we brought new members in. So it was when we voted for Mary Beth Lally, yourself, and Veronica to come onto the board. This is a administrative vote. Obviously, you are already on the board, but we are correcting not doing the roll call A or nay. You are welcome to abstain from this, but it doesn't actually impact us moving forward. You are still on the board.
Right, so I shouldn't vote for myself, right?
I mean, I don't know that there's rules against that, but so I have the motion from Tim that we do the administrative fix so that we are in compliance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act. This is going to be a yay or nay vote. If you were not a part of the group that did that, or you don't want to vote for yourself, you may abstain. Again, this is an administrative. So I'm going to start again. Kim, sorry, you're on mute and I put you on.
Yay.
Thank you. Denia,
Yay.
Lainey, yay. Christian,
Abstain.
Marge, she may not have come back on. Ellen,
I'm going to abstain as well.
perfect. Latrice, actually Latrice I know is not with us anymore. She excused herself, or she had to be excused. Tim,
Yay.
Dr. Powers,
Yay.
Sam.
I guess abstain.
Okay, thank you. Then the next order of business that we're gonna, of unfinished business that we're gonna move forward to is Daniel Andrade and Isabella Pareja. Were they able to get back on?
I'm back in here, ma'am. This is Daniel.
Oh, please don't call me ma'am, but that's really sweet of you. Isabel, are you available?
I'm right here, yes.
Okay, thank you for not calling me ma'am. So this next unfinished business, we're going to hear from students Daniel and Isabella, and they're going to provide a recommendation as it relates to the school resource officer. Go ahead.
To the local school council of Jones College Prep. The Safety and Security Committee suggests that the future vote on SROs and Jones be postponed until after LSC elections are held and the new members take office. The topic of SROs and Jones has been one of much discussion. We understand and respect that the current LSC has made its choice. However, we believe it is unfair to have another vote before the new members are sworn in and have a chance to come to their own conclusion without past decisions burdening them. Let the topic of SROs and Jones be one thing that the community votes on in this upcoming election. The vote on SROs should also be postponed because there is still much to learn about SROs and their alternatives. This committee has been in contact with multiple schools across the city to gather information on why schools voted the way they did and the alternatives schools have come up with and those that did vote to remove SROs.
The Safety and Security Committee is also looking at the role SROs play at Jones and what their removal would mean. Chicago is a large city and each school has their own needs, but this committee is mainly interested in what is best for Jones and its community. Additionally, Chief of Safety and Security Jading Chow and her office have a mandate to provide an alternative solution to SROs by March of 2021. Therefore, we believe postponing the vote would allow for more time to thoroughly ponder and address these factors before a final decision is made. The current LSC has had to make one of the biggest and most consequential choices for the Jones community. We thank the current members for their representation and service. This committee looks forward to helping inform the future LSC members and working alongside them in creating a safer and better Jones. From the Safety and Security Committee.
Thank you, Daniel and Isabella. And for individuals, I just want to step back for one moment and share a little bit. The Safety and Security Committee is an administrative committee that is made up with representatives. Dr. Fay is the administrative representative. Tim Peterson serves as our LSC representative. There are also parents, teachers, and you just heard from the two student representatives, Daniel and Isabella. At a previous meeting, there was a vote that was taken about whether or not Jones would retain the SRO officers at program at Jones. The vote, and I don't have the exact number here, but the vote did pass that we would keep SROs and that the Safety and Security Committee would do additional research outside and bring back a recommendation to the LSC. That is the recommendation that was just read by Daniel and Isabella. At this point in time, I would like to ask the LSC members if there are any additional questions that we have, because we have Eric, Tim, Daniel, and Isabella that are present and participating now. Once we finish those questions, I am going to ask for a motion to accept or to deny the recommendation that was shared by the committee. So does anybody do any LSC members have any additional questions based on that recommendation that was made? Sam?
First of all, I would definitely like to congratulate Daniel and Isabella. I think that was a very fine presentation to give out the recommendations of the committee. And although I'm going to go with your recommendation because that was your task and you are the best one equipped to, I do have an additional question about, I think Ms. Chow, the person. It's interesting because I recall it being stated that she said that they're not responsible for doing anything if the SRO is removed, but it sounds like that has now changed. And if someone could speak to that, that would be really good information.
Yeah, Sam, this is Tim. That was one of the discoveries that we had. Jadine joined us on a call, one of our committee meetings, and informed us that the mandate that she's been tasked with by the Board of Education is to have a recommendation and really an alternative program to SROs for schools who opt out of the SRO program, and that is by March. And for those of us who were on the student forum last night, Mr. Shu, Simon Shu, had also made reference to that in his comments. He's serving on that task force that Jadine Chow has. So I thought that was very insightful on his part to bring that up as well. I believe another parent, I believe it was Elaine Buggs, and if I'm speaking out of turn, please let me know, but I believe it was her who also had said that, you know, she was aware of Jadine Chow's office coming up with a plan for SRO replacement, if we can use that term. So yeah, Sam, it's definitely a new development since we had Jadine attend our meeting in August.
That's fantastic information because it may be able to help all parties be comfortable. Fantastic. Great job, guys. Very good job.
Do any other LSC members have any questions for that? And if so, I don't see anyone. Is there any LSC member that would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation for safety and security from the Safety and Security Committee?
I would like to make a motion.
Sam, thank you. Denaya?
I guess I can second.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We have completed with our unfinished business. I'm going to now move us
We got a roll call vote.
Oh, sugar. Okay. Roll call vote for acceptance or not acceptance of the recommendation. Kim.
Yay.
Denaya. Oh,
yay.
Thank you. Lainey, yay. Christian.
Yay.
Marge is not on anymore. Ellen.
Oh, yay.
Thank you. Latrice is not on anymore. Tim.
Yay.
Dr. Powers is muted. I'm going to go to Sam.
Yay.
Dr. Powers.
Yay. And Latrice was checking with me to see if she should log back in. I'll advise her to do so.
Yeah, she is more than welcome to, but I would like to move on as we do have a quorum and it was passed unanimously to move forward with the motion to accept the recommendation for the safety and security. And I would also, Daniel and Isabel, I'd like to echo what Dr. Robinson said. That was excellent. Thank you very much for not only giving extra time to participate in that, but also to bring that recommendation to us tonight. I'd like to move us on to new business. And I'm going to ask Tim Peterson if he can share about the marijuana dispensary issue.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry. Before we start, I'm sorry. Are people still being let into the meeting? Or have we drawn capacity?
I
because
believe
of what happened?
I believe we're still allowing, Troy, are we still allowing people that are recognizable members of the Jones community in?
There's only 5 people that are in the waiting list and I don't recognize any of the names from being on before, so I'm not letting them in yet.
Okay, is there a Yamali in the waiting room? Because she hosted the student forum, was one of the hosts of the student forum last night and she wants to be in the meeting.
No, there is not.
Okay, I'll ask her to change her name. Thank you.
Thank you, Denai. And you can also chat privately with Jones LSC. And he'll be able to see that and we'll be able to let them in. If there are other people that have individuals that are recognized and committed people who are going to contribute positively to this meeting, go ahead and put a private chat to the Jones LSC and ask Troy to let them in. If everybody's okay with that. All right, Tim, if you can share with us the new business for the marijuana dispensary.
Yeah, so back in October of 2019, the Jones LSC voted unanimously to create and send a letter to Mayor Lightfoot with regard to the zoning ordinance for dispensaries. And at the time, we were encouraging the zone to extend further south than Ida B. Wells. And unfortunately, that did not work. However, because we took that stand, that was noticed, and the Old St. Mary's School reached out to a couple of us on the LSC and asked if we would be willing to, support them in an effort that they are undertaking in trying to prevent a dispensary from being approved at 1420 South Michigan. That dispensary is 504 feet from their campus, and the legal limit is 500 feet. And as you can imagine, they have a lot of concerns around the activity that would be created in the neighborhood by this dispensary. So I sent a letter to all of the LSC members that they are encouraging us to sign on to and send to the aldermen, both Dowell and King, as a kind of a show of solidarity for a school in the neighborhood. They've also reached out to South Loop School, Daystar, and British School as well. So I wanted to put that out there for everybody to consider. The hearing will be, fortunately, it's been delayed to December 20th. It was going to happen in November, but it's been postponed. So we do have a little bit of time to consider this. But I think it's if we were asking them to do the same thing, I think we would appreciate it, obviously. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring up, and I'd be happy to entertain a motion for us to either approve, signing on to the letter, or creating our own message if we wanted to. But I'll leave it open for discussion amongst LSC members.
So actually, I'm gonna put a hold for you really quick, Tim, because it was just shared with me that for the purpose of a quorum for the LSC, that the principal, Dr. Powers, and the student representative, Denaya, do not actually count towards the quorum. If we do not have a quorum, then anything that we are doing, really, we will not be able to move forward in this meeting. I just want to make sure, because I believe that we are too short, if that is the case. So Kim, Ellen, myself, Tim, Christian, Sam. I'm sorry, I believe we're one short unless Latrice has joined us again, is able to join us again.
Can we reach out to her because she was willing to earlier?
I asked her to go ahead and log in. I don't know whether she's done it or not.
If we can just hold for one moment, that would be appreciated.
Tim, I may be jumping the gun. Were you hoping that the LSC would sign it as a council, or were you just encouraging us each individually to sign the letter and send it?
I would suggesting that we sign it as a council. But I'm open to any suggestions.
And I'm sorry, Tim. Lainey, I hope it's okay for us to hold this discussion. Is that okay?
You know what? I am not that immersed in that. I believe in the past that we have been able to have discussions, but no votes.
Okay. I think that is correct. Yeah.
And so we can have discussion, and we can also have an informal vote, but nothing that we vote on would actually be, would have any authority.
Okay, so the question I have, and I think Tim stated this, but I just wanted to make sure, is something that the LSC has asked them to do, which is extremely the same. And so now they're turning around asking us to do the exact same thing. Is that correct?
Say that again?
I think what Tim stated was that the LSC, Jones LSC, asked them to participate in the letter so that we could have a boundary at our school. Now they're asking us to help have, to sign a letter and support them in a boundary around their school. Is that correct, Tim?
No, we did a letter on our own as an LSC. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time when we were issuing that letter to solicit support from other schools. So they're simply, asking us to support them in their endeavor.
I'm sorry to raise my hand, but since you only have 10, you don't need 7 is not your quorum because you don't have 12 members. You don't have that many people on your LSC. According to your agenda, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have 10 people. So 6 is a quorum, all right? It's just it's not 7 because you're missing. It just has to be, so you have 6, so you're okay. I was thinking about the number 7 is when you have a full council. So I think, Lainey, I think you guys are fine. I think everything you've done here is fine. Sorry to interrupt.
And then I muted myself. Here's what I would propose because I don't know the intricacies of that enough. Sarah, thank you. I know that you work a lot in the LSCs and probably have a little bit more adeptness on that. I am willing to move forward with us on the recommendation that we have a quorum of 6. If we find that we do not have a quorum, then we would need to revisit any topics that we will check with our LSC representative who we have tried to reach in the last 45 minutes for a variety of reasons and have not been able to. But I will commit that we as an LSC, myself as the chairman and Tim as the FOIA person, will reach out and find out. I am happy to move forward. I'm going to put a motion forward that if we all agree as LSC members to move forward with the 6 as the quorum and to continue to finish this business, if I find that it was not quorum, then we will readdress this business as unfinished business at our next meeting. So my motion out there is that we take Sarah's advisement, that we recognize that we are a quorum with 6 people and that we move forward to complete our agenda.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. And now I'm going to do a roll call vote to move that forward. Kim.
Yay.
Thank you. Danaya.
Yay.
Lainey, yay. Christian.
Yay.
Marge is no longer with, or is not, she is with us. She is just not on this call. Ellen.
Yay.
Latrice, have you been able to join us? No, okay. Tim.
Yay.
Dr. Powers.
Yay.
Sam.
Yay.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So does anybody else have questions with that huge parenthetical in the middle about the request from Old St. Mary's that we sign a letter in solidarity with them asking that the marijuana dispensary not be approved within the 504 feet. And in full transparency, both of my children attended Old St. Mary's and I have been reached out to by parents there. The issue is not against the product that is being sold. It is a safety issue as it relates to a shared alleyway, armed guards, unscheduled cash drops and pickups. And the back alley to the school is shared with that proposed site where they literally have preschoolers playing. And so the concern is not pro or con marijuana, the product. The concern is the safety issues may result around a primarily cash business. Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
One more question, Tim. You did say that we did do that at LSC for Jones. We spoke against such actions, right?
Yeah.
We spoke against the boundary of the dispensaries. That was from the LSC's issued a letter in October of 2019 to Mayor Lightfoot.
Okay, no more questions from me.
Can I get a, does anybody want to make a motion for us to vote on this as a team?
Sorry, quick question. I actually did not get the chance to read this letter because I received it around 5 p.m. today. And I was eating dinner before this meeting. So I was wondering if it would be possible for us. I understand that the hearing's December 20th, and we do have an LSC meeting prior to that. Would it be possible to move this to unfinished business for that meeting in order to give LSC members the chance to read the letter?
If you would like to make that motion and we can vote on it, I am happy to move forward with that way as well.
I would like to make that motion that we postpone discussion or postpone our vote on this until LSC members are able to read the letter. So to December 8th.
Kim will
Thank
second.
you. Is there
Kim
Thank
seconds.
you. Kim seconds. Thank you. I would like to take a roll call vote on this then. Yes or no to postpone this approval by the LSC to our move it to unfinished business for our December meeting. Kim?
Yay.
Yes or no?
Yay.
Okay. Denia?
Yes.
Lainey? Yes. Christian?
No.
Marge is not on the call anymore. Ellen?
Yay.
Latrice, have you had a chance to join us? No. Tim?
No.
Dr. Powers?
No.
Sam?
I think it's a reasonable request, yes.
Okay. I believe that that passes, that we will push this to unfinished business for the December 20th meeting. Thank you. We have now come to the public participation point of the meeting. The way that we are going to run this public participation is if you would like to have something that you want to say, we have a 10-minute schedule in the window for this. Unfortunately, with the bombing and the other technicalities that have been happening, I would like to stick to that 10 minutes. Individuals have 2 minutes that they can speak to. I do want to remind us that if you are going to participate in the public participation, that you are respectful and that it is on topic and that you remain within the 2 minutes. You can, I believe, if you can chat to me and raise your, and that would be the means to raise your hand if you would like to participate. And I'm gonna zip around to see if I actually see anyone. Shirley would like to say something. Shirley, if you're able to share your video, that would be great. I am looking for you, but I don't see you. But yes, Shirley, if you could say something. Hi, Shirley, thank you.
Okay, this is so there's been like a concern about like being able to communicate with parents, and my mom does not speak English or know how to read English. So is there any way for you guys to like start sending emails in Spanish? Because I don't know how to like talk to my mom about stuff, and it's not my responsibility to communicate with these things to my mom. So I would just bringing that up.
Can I ask, can you be more specific when you say these things? Are you talking about the Jones? Are you Jones, the school? Are you talking about LSC? Are you talking about teachers? Can you just provide a little bit more?
I'm talking about like the surveys, like in Spanish, any like newsletter or announcement like Dr. Powers or Miss Dr. Plunkett sends to parents. Like any email, can you guys like consider translating them?
Thank you. I actually would like to take that up and find out what our resources and abilities are. That I would appreciate that. And thank you, Shirley, for bringing that up. I would like to recognize Amy Fritsch. Am I saying that right, Miss Fritsch?
Yes, you are. It's Fritsch like witch. You did it correctly.
Thank you.
So one of the things that Dr. Plunkett has done twice now, which I thought was a really, it was very warm, it was very effective, and I actually, as a, only just recently no longer a Jones parent, would have responded to well as a parent and as a teacher. I really responded positively to it as well, is that twice now Dr. Plunkett has made short videos, one saying, here's what's going on, and they were kept very short. They were just her in front of the sign on State Street, and then I believe in her office with a just, spoken, here's what's going on, here's what's up. And as a point of access, speaking to Shirley's point, I think that it might be useful in order to have a more wide and accessible opportunity for more people to access what we're presenting, to have presentations that are like, we send out the emails, but also to have short videos posted where someone speaks to those ideas. And that could be done in English and Spanish. I don't remember what other languages we have represented in terms of speaking teachers or adults at the school who speak the languages. I know we have at least 2 or 3 fluent speakers of Polish at the school. I know we have at least a couple of fluent Mandarin speakers. I don't know if we have any fluent Cantonese speakers, but to be able to convey that same information and say, here's the written version in English, here's an English video here. And to my knowledge, we don't have any deaf parents right now who would need an interpreter. So we've got but a plethora of options there to provide better access that might address what Shirley is saying, that it should not be her responsibility.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. I have definitely noted down here on communications. That is something that I have done with another organization in my background previously as a PR marketing person. And I do think that is something that we should and could look at. I am not going to, I think that is going to take more than just this conversation. So that is something that is now noted, and something that as long as I am at LSC, I would like to move forward with. Elaine, you are up next.
Thank you. I needed to unmute.
After Elaine.
Pardon me?
Sorry, I was saying I saw Roberto, so.
Okay. So I wanted to thank you for this opportunity to speak. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to speak to a concern that I've heard from students and a couple of Jones parents as it relates to preparing students for the college admissions process and scholarship preparation. I wanted to know if there is something we can do to make sure that that's more inclusive. Last evening, there was a mention that perhaps that's not something that is widely addressed amongst every population of student at the school. Some have said that there's a certain group that gets that information, but not everyone. And particularly as a parent, as a sophomore parent, I would appreciate that being a part of the process, not waiting until junior year, because in order to be properly positioned for junior year, there are things you need to do freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year to prepare you for college. So I just wanted to bring that forth as something to discuss and to be shared with parents about what can prepare their students, a checklist of sorts, and also PSAT. Taking that test, that's important so that the students can get the baseline data. They can work on Khan Academy and kind of work on their areas of growth along the way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Roberto?
I'm sorry, I would like to just briefly address what Elaine said, and due to time constraints, I wasn't able to bring this up at the candidate forum yesterday, but I would like to note that there is a collaboration going on between the counseling department and the Minority Leaders of Impact Club to provide a workshop on navigating the college process. That is coming up on November 23rd at 4 p.m. So I know that we as teachers have received emails from Mr. Dominguez with a flyer asking us to post this in our Google Classrooms. So that's something that I think a lot of us are doing. And it includes information about application tips and tricks, show me the money. So about that question, Elaine, about financial aid or scholarships, and then how to stand out as an applicant. So I absolutely agree that that is something that is a need that our school has, but I wanted to call out the specific effort that is being made at our school to address that concern right now. So again, I was hoping to say that yesterday, but I'm happy to say it today.
Thank you, Ellen. Roberta?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
So I just want to say, Lainey, you have been doing an amazing job as chair and hosting the Zoom. You have just been a gracious host. So I just applaud you. So thank you so much. I know this was a really hard Zoom meeting for a variety of reasons. So I just want to address 3 things. One, to the student who spoke up, I've received from the families that I know who have received these email communications from the counseling department, from our administrative leadership team, who have said, hey, Roberto, I can't understand this. No lo entiendo, me puedes ayudar, right? And this is something that we need to address. I would recommend the LSC and the administrative leadership team to automatically start translating these documents and the website and any official communications from the Jones College Prep into multiple language, specifically the 2 that I can name is Mandarin and Spanish. If there are others, then we should make sure that we include those things, because there are 29% of our students are Latinx, and the majority of their families have limited English speaking abilities. So it's important to translate those communications into multiple language. The second thing I want to address
for what, just 1 more minute, please.
Yes, the second thing that I want to address is something that the PPLC talked about, the hiring committee. So I read an article on the Jones Blueprint dated October 2020 talking about change representation. And I want to be very polite and careful about this, because the teacher that is teaching the African-American literature is not a Black teacher and is of a person of color, but he described that this was a difficult decision for him. And I just want to make it aware that Jones needed to replace that teacher in order to communicate to the Black students. And I understand that Dr. Powers was quoted in the article that there weren't funds available. But in 2017, there was another article titled Bridging the Gap, where there was a shortfall for Jones. And there was no issue for the LSC or the administrative leadership team to go to the Friends of Jones and ask them for money, right, to support that teacher position. At that time, the Jones was going to lose about $312,000, and there was going to be 4 layoffs.
Roberto,
and then Jones asked for $260,000.
And if you can wrap this up, please, so we can allow. Thank you. I think that your point is well taken, is that we do need to look not only at the languages, but also at the diversity. And I do know that those are things that are being, that the ELT, that the PPLC are also working on with that. If you have additional comments that you want to share with me, please reach out to me directly. I'd be happy to have that conversation with you, and thank you for bringing that up. Do we have any other individuals that want to speak publicly right now? Because I know, and Mr. Coleman, you and I don't know each other, and I apologize because I'm going to put you on the spot. Cassie, you would like to speak? I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay, hold on 1 second, Cassie. Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot in a minute and see if you would be willing to give us a concise but fully feedback from the counseling department, because I think there's been some questions asked tonight that you may be able to address. Cassie, if you can please speak, and for 2 minutes, I would appreciate it.
Thanks so much. I'll make this quick since it was a rather stressful meeting.
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up. Thank you, Dr. Powers, for sending out more information about the fees on Friday. And in that email, it said that all of our fees have gone to a remote learning cost at some level. And we've incurred additional expenses this year, which you also mentioned that at the last meeting. And so it would be great to see an updated fee schedule, since especially like now half the year is remote. So it would be great to detail that as the CPS policy says we should. And this is something that should be done in discussion with the LSC. So I would love to see that on a future LSC meeting agenda. And it does seem that expenses that are on the order of $60,000 to $70,000 should also be something that the LSC should be discussing as a budget matter, even if those things are, individually under 10, and that isn't something that I need to approve. Overall, it's a big chunk of money. And I think this goes to Roberto's point that he just made, that, there really should be some additional discussion of these things and transparency. So to that end, I would also love to see the financial reports posted with the agendas and the minutes online as well. Or if there's a budget committee, their reports. So that was all for this evening. Also, I think Jacqueline Smith was trying to join. If Troy is still letting people in.
I now am in charge of that, and I have one person, Stacy Mai, in the waiting room at this point.
Okay, I'll see if she can try to get in again. She was trying to get in. Okay, thanks.
Great.
I think Tim Peterson was trying to get back in as well.
Yeah, I just realized I was the holdup, and I let him back in as well. If we don't have anyone else at this moment, then I'd like to close public participation and go back to our special reports and put Mr. Coleman on the hot seat.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm not sure how particularly hot it is, but it sounds like it's been an up and down meeting thus far. Thank you for having me tonight, and I apologize for being late. We have junior family night happening simultaneously, so I just came out of that. I think the first thing I would want to talk about broadly is sort of the structure of our program. We do have our 6 counselors, each of us with about 300 students at every grade level. We do 3 to 4 90-minute seminars throughout the year. Thus far this year, we've already done our beginning of the year content with our seniors. We've done our beginning of the year content with our freshmen. We've also met with our sophomores, and then we'll be seeing our juniors for the first time this week. Thus far, we've done family events for our seniors, and tonight we're doing our family events for our juniors, and we'll have additional content later in the year. Generally, we meet with freshmen, sophomore parents as part of the report card pickup experience, but due to the way it's structured right now, we'll be doing primarily one-on-one meetings, but we'll have events later in the year. There was a point made earlier about sort of how we start the post-secondary planning process, particularly college. About 92% of our students go on to college, either mostly 4-year degree, but some 2-year degree. We actually do start providing content around post-secondary planning with freshman year. Freshman year, we primarily focus on one of the core components of getting ready for that process, which is enrichment and making sure students are getting involved, getting acclimated to the school. We focus on coping skills and making sure they understand their transcript. How do you read it? How do you understand it? How does scheduling factor into that process of preparing you for life beyond high school? And then we start layering in additional content as we move forward. We talk about enrichment programs freshman year. We talk about career exploration more broadly and the different post-secondary pathways sophomore year. And then junior year is when we layer in all of our content around specifically researching a college, making sure you understand financial aid, the different financial aid options, Fafsa. We talk about CSS profile. By the end of the year, we make sure all students have their Common App accounts. And then we hit the ground running at the beginning of senior year, making sure students are aware of their application deadlines, the information sharing between counselors and students, what information do we need when, what deadlines are we using. So we try to hit both academic support, social emotional support, and then college and career planning at every grade level. Thank you, Ellen, for mentioning briefly, we are partnering. For the first time, we're doing a combined event with the Minority Leaders of Impact organization in a few weeks. This is the first time that we're doing this because what we've really come to appreciate in terms of equity, we have a wonderful tier 1 programming. That's programming that all students receive as relates to academics, social emotional, and college career. We do a lot of great tier 3 programming, which is really for our students who are in crisis who need immediate follow-up care and referral. We need more work when it comes to our tier 2, specifically how do we assess and make sure we understand which students need that wraparound support at the tier 2 small group level. That's a conversation I know that I had this morning with Dr. Plunkett around MTSS and what is that going to continue to cultivate and develop into as we move forward. I think with what we're doing with Minority Leaders of Impact, we're testing out a model of meeting students where they are as opposed to expecting all students to get what they should get from tier 1. We're layering in additional targeted content. I've reached out to Minority Leaders of Impact, our Asian American Club, BSU, and ALAS as well. I reached out to them at the beginning of the summer to say, hey, I think there's some great opportunities for counseling to better partner with your clubs and organizations to make sure that we are getting segmented, targeted information out to populations that might be otherwise missed in our tier 1 programming. And Minority Leaders of Impact has been the first club in a position based on organizational structure to be ready to partner with counseling. But the other clubs have said, we're excited and we're ready to do it. Or excuse me, we want to do it, but we're not yet in a position as a club to do so. So that's part of our targeted reach out. The last thing I would mention is just that we are building out our advisory council. We have not had an advisory council where we had a parent, guardian, or teacher staff direct influence and support on the counseling program. So in the next month, I'll be reaching out to individuals to comprise an advisory council that meets with us at the end of the fall and in the spring to talk about not only what are our goals, but what have we accomplished throughout the year. I think that's the long and short of it. Lainey, is that what you were looking for?
That sounds great to me. I do have a couple of little things that I want to add and ask for that. Is there something, and this is from a comment, it's called a slam dunk timeline from counselors to families of seniors. You know, I'm not quite there, and unfortunately I have a junior and I was not able to join you tonight, so I may be reaching out separately, but is there in the slam dunk timeline, is their terminology, not mine, but something that says, you know, from start to finish, this is what we're going to do to get you specifically through this senior year?
Yes, so we have that type of calendar. I like that language of slam dunk. I might steal that. You might see that soon, so stay tuned.
So that is Laura, I believe.
Laura, I love that. Wherever you are, Laura, I like that. We actually have that type of calendar at actually every grade level. We have the Counselor's Corner section of the Jones website, and it's broken out by grade level. And we have that type of calendar that lays out month by month, what are the behavioral expectations that we have for students and parents and guardians? What can we be doing? What will we as counselors be doing? And how do we work through the year together? So yes, that information is currently available. For seniors and juniors specifically, actually, I take that back. For every grade level, if you are not aware, we started a YouTube channel for counseling this year. It's called JCP Counselor's Corner. We thought it would be the most equitable way to get content out to both our students and parents simultaneously. So that has a video overview of our freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, as well as all of the content that we've produced for seniors is publicly available. All of the content that we just did for junior parent night is on there already. So if you missed that because you were here, that's okay. We have pre-recorded information for you on the YouTube channel as well. So that is how we primarily push out a lot of that information as a supplement to what we have in the JCP Counselor's Corner section of the website.
Great, thank you. And I also want to add that I caught a comment from Amy Frisch, is that at the end of the junior year, the English teachers all do a unit that is going to support all the students and helping them create their first draft of their college essay as well, which I think is very helpful to know, because they're being able to actually, you know, live that Jones values of getting our students prepared for college. And that is happening in the classrooms with our English teachers. Which is something I'm very excited about, because as a parent of a junior, I'm not really looking forward to doing that. The second question that we had, and this is from Elaine, is how can students participate in the Minority Leaders of Impact? Like, is that going to be sent out to all of the students? How's that going to happen?
Yeah, so in that event has been a partnership between counseling and me. Oh, wow. Somebody just subscribed to the YouTube channel that's here. That's awesome. That's real time. Hi, Sarah. That's great. So we actually already sent that information out to students. So as Ellen was talking about, teachers pushed out that information, and then an email went out to, with the Minority Leaders of Impact. We're trying to get a sense of sizing and scope because it's going to be a Google Meet after school that counseling is running together with members of Minority Leaders of Impact. So sophomores, juniors, and seniors were invited, and they were invited via Naviance with the registration link, as well as teachers pushing out that information as well. And counselors will also be following that up with target, like students have said time and time again, we get so many emails, oh my goodness. So we do have our counseling Google Classrooms. Each counselor has a Google Classroom at every grade level. We'll be posting it in our Google Classrooms as well.
Okay. Mr. Coleman, I have a question if I can, Lainey.
Yep, go ahead.
This is, and I'm not familiar with what Elaine said, and it sounds like there's some great things that are being offered, but I think her question was a little more pointed about the preparation for students, for the PSAT and things of that nature. So if there are things that we're doing, if you could speak to that, that'll probably help out the question that she presented.
Sure. Okay, specifically in terms of standardized testing, I say a few things around standardized testing. One, and I think what I heard earlier was the student and parent sophomore family, I believe. The big concern that we have right now is based on we're in a global health crisis where the actual sitting for those tests has been significantly disrupted. And we're concerned as to when, like ideally, we're hoping that this can happen later in the year, but we're not exactly sure. There, in terms of what test prep has looked like, I think it was actually mentioned, Khan Academy, we make sure through our counseling lessons that students, by the end of freshman year, if not the beginning of sophomore year, that all students, if they don't already have a Khan Academy account, they create one, and then they link their Khan Academy accounts to their College Board accounts so that whenever they have PSAT scores, they can get targeted support, free targeted support based on how they score on the PSAT. I also know that in the past, Dr. Powers has partnered to make sure that test prep was available, but specifically to students who were scoring below where they were projected to score on the PSAT. Dr. Powers has been wonderful. When we were in ACT school, he offered ACT support, and when it comes to SAT support, he's offered that as well. We're in a kind of precarious situation right now because the tests haven't been able to occur. Outside of that, we also have a resource list for parents that we primarily talk about test prep resources at the junior level, because when it comes to the SAT specifically, we don't recommend that students take that test until they've made it through at least sophomore year. But we have at cost options as well, such as Revolution Prep and Princeton Review that we talk to students about. And then broadly, when it comes to the curricular support that teachers provide, teachers do tend to hit the benchmarks in line with what is covered on the PSAT in preparation for the SAT. So that gives you a sense of how we target test prep specifically, if that answers your question.
Brian, I'm going to have one final question. One thing I will say to you is I want to make sure that we get through all of this stuff, but I also want to be respectful of people's times and the time with their family and our own screen time on this. So this is going to be the last question, and then I'm going to ask if we can move to adjournment. But there is a new graduation requirement to fill out the FAFSA, which please don't ask me what that means, but I hope you can tell us.
Free application for federal student aid.
Perfect, especially because part of the discussions that we've been having is for non-English speaking parents or parents whose English is not their primary language spoken in the home. How is there is there a system set up to help those parents either at Jones or through CPS or another means? And if there's not, that's something that I would like to ask that the counseling department and administration look at, because I think that is going to be something that's going to be very important as we're hearing from students and parents alike.
Absolutely. So with the FAFSA, we call it Fafsa. The cool kids call it Fafsa. Just kidding. It's not cool, right? But it's extremely important. So what I will say about the Fafsa is actually we've already offered 3 Fafsa completion workshops this year. We offered them both in English and Spanish throughout the month of October for families, and we pushed that information out. We talked about that on the YouTube channel. We talked about it via email. We talked about it in our seminars. And when we did have parents attend, and like if parents were to come, we partner with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, ISAC, to make that happen. And we had completion specialists who were there, who were bilingual, prepared to support families. And if there are additional questions and follow-up needs, we do have a point of contact at ISAC that we partner with and have partnered with for the last few years to do that style of workshop. So we're happy to continue there. And ISAC has been wonderful about being willing to support our families if and when there are issues, questions, or concerns. So if there are follow-up additional concerns or questions about the FAFSA, students and families can reach out to the counselor, and then we can triage from there. We also work with Ms. Olga Gutierrez, the clerk who works and partners with the counseling center, to put out our content, or partner with counselors to meet with students and families individually to have conversations specifically for Spanish. We have not been able to do the same yet for Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese. We have not been able to do that as of yet, or Polish, but primarily we do have some supports already in place for Spanish, and we're looking to build those out as we continue.
And this is just another question. Is there any specific support that is put towards Dreamers as it relates to supporting, I don't know what the eligibility is for FAFSA or other items like that, but is that something that this counseling team is able to help address?
Yeah, so there's an alternative application for Illinois aid. The Illinois RISE Act is what was created to make sure that students would have options if they are not eligible for the FAFSA. And these workshops that I just described were combo support for both. You could get support for the Illinois RISE application as well as the FAFSA. The trickier part for us, and this is something that we continue to sort of conceptualize, is the identification of students and how that process goes. There's some pretty significant parameters around what we can ask of students. So we try very hard to stay well within that. What we are currently, for example, what we are currently doing that I have not yet mentioned is targeted support for first generation students. We do a small group follow-up and reach out to our first generation students. We do that during October. We do that again in January, and we'll do it in March for seniors. And then we start doing that this month with juniors. We have targeted a schedule of follow-up for our first generation students. Through that contact, we tend to have some things bubble up that give us a sense that other things might be going on, but that has been the most, the least intrusive way that we've been able to begin to identify and support students in different situations. If there are families that have that access, that information, and wish to, the sooner you self-disclose, great. If you can and are in a position to do, that helps us. But that is our sort of vaguely indirect way of getting that information on our end.
Great, thank you so much. At this point in time, we are about an hour over. Some of that was because we have very important things to talk about, but some of that was because of some shenanigans that went on. It is actually my daughter's birthday, so I would like to be able to go have dinner with her if that is okay. So I would like to call for an adjournment of this meeting. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that as the chair or if someone else can do that. That would be.
We adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Great. All in favor? Do we have to do a roll call vote?
Yes, we.
Oh, for the love of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Okay.
Hey, I vote yay.
Okay, Kim. You have to say it.
Yay.
Okay. Denaya. Oh, did we lose Denaya? Oh, thank you. Lainey, yay. Christian.
Yay.
Margaret's not here. Ellen.
Yay.
Latrice was not able to rejoin us. Tim.
Yay.
Tim's driving. Dr. Powers, be safe.
Yay.
Sam.
Yay.
Great. I am calling an end to this. I appreciate that. Thank you all for bearing with us and getting through this. I hope we were able to have a little bit of humor as well, because I think we might need that. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Lainey.
Bye.